Films, as you probably know, are never shot in sequence, because that would be too easy and logical. And films, we always do it the hard way. No, really, you just go where the weather and cost and convenience dictate. So from our base here in England, we went to New York to shoot scenes of Superman as an adult before we went to Canada to shoot scenes of him as a child. Why New York? Well, if you ask me, New York is the eighth wonder of the world. No, it's something special about it that's got the kind of madness and craziness and life that sort of confuse Clark Kent, but at the same time provides the all-time great backdrop for Superman to do his stuff.
A typical New York heat wave. Record temperatures up to 106 degrees, a hot and sticky metropolis. The Daily Planet is being played by one of the city's major newspapers, the New York Daily News. Not a location you can keep secret for long. So, for the first time, those fictional journalists, Clark Kent and Lois Lane, come face to face with some real ones. For Christopher Reeve, an exhilarating experience.
A great deal of excitement, because why, as actors, how come we don't, if we want to act, I mean, why don't we just, put on costumes and do plays up in an attic someplace, on a rainy day when no one's looking? No, we want to reach the public. There is the excitement when the public comes out to meet you. So I'd be stupid if I said I didn't enjoy that. Now the question is, will it stay in control or get out of hand? And it's a question of degree. But in my first exposure to it, my first kind of relations with the press and stuff, there's the excitement of they want to listen to what I have to say. They're here to talk to me. My God, I mean, this is also part of being an actor, is that you get a certain fulfillment out of that.
People have been telling me I was going to be a star for 12 years now. It hasn't happened in that kind of big way, and I think I've formed my own character enough at this point that fame and money aren't going to change it that much. The advantages that come with fame and money are nice and not to be sneezed at, so I'd like that. Money, I'd really like to be rich.
Some interviewers have to take pot luck in the streets.
All right, now that's how you prepared for Superman, but how the most difficult role is to prepare to be a reporter.
No, all right. No,
how did you prepare to be Clark Kent?
Also with great difficulty. No, I prepare by, first of all, I set out for myself in my own mind the difference between the two characters, and then things that I wanted to use to establish that. And then
others, like famous artist Andy Warhol, managed to lure Superman into their homes.
Is that a Superman fork?
No, this was a spoon, as a matter of fact.
Oh, it's a spoon.
I made this in shop in 7th grade.
You're kidding.
In 7th grade?
Yeah, I went to this private day school. You had to take shop and woodworking and stuff like that. This is a spoon that comes in the Princeton Day School cafeteria, as a matter of fact. No, they can't have it back.
I wish you'd go back to school and make me one.
The first scene to be shot in New York is in the lobby of the Daily Planet. Quite a contrast to the controlled atmosphere of a soundstage. Crowds are always a problem when shooting on location.
Right, here we go. Please don't talk. Give us a break. Right, roll.
He asked me out because I really like to go with him, you know? Yeah, listen, I gotta go meet all these times. I'll see you later, okay? Okay. Tonight. Hi, Clark. How'd you enjoy your first night on the job? Oh, well, frankly,
But when the television crews depart, Christopher Reeve has more time to refine his Clark Kent.
I always thought it was kind of natural.
Yeah. Clark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. No. I think the strongest choice, the best choice, is the one you make first, because it's an instinctive reaction to both characters. And you generally find that later on, everything else is pretty much complications. I found that I was overboard on Clark Kent. We came back during the course of the filming on Clark Kent. We sort of eased him up a little bit because he was just a little too broad. The voice was a little too funny. He was bumping into too many doors. He was just a little bit too much out of control. And I substituted a kind of eagerness and sort of desire to please instead, so that half the time he bumps into the door, the next time he walks through it absolutely smoothly, so they're trying to keep the audience off guard, not know what he's going to do. It took me longer to get to know Superman.
Between takes, Lois Lane finds New Yorkers not in the least shy.
Sure.
20 minutes.
What? 20 minutes.
I said we're ready to go.
Hey, Rex, Dick Donner, how are you? Good to see you, thank you.
Director Dick Donner talks syndicated columnist Rex Reed into playing a brief cameo role.
Good. Not only that,
Hi, how are you? How are you doing? Good. Gonna be a night I didn't know till this morning you were doing.
listen, it's simple. We got them coming out, confusion in the revolving door. They're starting where she spots you. This is his first day on the Daily Planet. Clark Kent. So he's in awe of everybody. And she says, Rex, how are you? Did you see anything good? And whatever you want. Yeah, it was fantastic. I saw The Omen. Well, no, whatever you want to say.
Oh, Rex, this is
Clark Kent.
Bye.
Lois, wait for me.
You see me going in a revolving door. Well, if anybody knows who it is, it'll be a miracle.
Filming in New York isn't easy. After facing the press and the continuing hassle of the heat wave, Superman's cast and crew have to overcome yet another hurdle. On the night of July 13th, the blackout hits New York and shooting comes to an abrupt halt. But even that can't stop Superman.
You know, that helicopter sequence alone took 6 months to shoot. It involved 5 film units working in 2 countries. I actually looked up for Lois Lane in New York, and then I caught her when I got back to London 6 months later. I hope you're not too disappointed to find that out. There were a lot of things that I didn't know when I started playing Superman, because I'd never really read the comics as a kid, and I had to do a lot of research. And one of the things that I found out is that Superman is a multi-million-dollar international industry. They sell 5 million Superman comics in the States alone, and another 7 million every month all over the world in translation. Well, how did all this begin? You probably read about it, but it began in 1933 when a kid who was only 17 named Jerry Siegel was just lying in bed in Cleveland, Ohio, as a matter of fact. He was just watching the clouds go by. And he had a vision, really, of a man flying up among the clouds. So, next day, he calls up his friend Joe Shuster, and within a week, they'd come up with a real, honest-to-goodness American myth. Well, today, there's a whole army of writers and artists and engravers who've taken over for Siegel and Shuster, and they come up with new storylines for Superman.
Now, you see, we have radar.
Yeah.
So what would happen if the rockets start appearing? Russia would see it on their screens, the United States would see it on their screens, and they both would want it for themselves. It might be interesting if maybe the United Nations would want to play a hand, maybe United Nations. But I think it might be best for the sake of this story that the United States gets a hold of the rocket first.
The initial widespread fame of Superman was due to World War II. Saul Harrison, president of DC Comics.
There was a shortage of paper, and anything that could be printed was just eaten up by the boys in the trenches. They needed simple reading, and they got it from reading comic magazines. On the covers of the early magazines at that particular time, we had the Superman with the Red Cross and Superman fighting the Germans and the Japanese.
Not only could Superman leap from building to building with ease, he could leap from one form of entertainment to another. His superhuman feats were vividly communicated by radio.
Kent, where are you going? After Miss Lane. Something's wrong at Dahlgren's. If it's the mask, well, there's not much time to stop him. So long. Hey, kid, where'd you hurry? Yeah, got another front page scoop, Kent? Oh, thank heaven. The locker room's empty. Quickly now. Out of these clothes. It's Superman's turn now. Oh, someone's coming. The window. Out. And up. Up!
By now, the movie has moved to Alberta, Canada, chosen to represent the plains of Kansas. Ironically, they could not go to Kansas as the wheat crop at the time of shooting had already been harvested. It is here that the infant Superman's 3-year journey came to an end on a remote field, to be discovered by Ma and Pa Kent. Pa Kent is played by Glenn Ford.
They were going to put a wig on me for Superman, you know, a white sort of wig. And they put it on, and I thought I looked like a cross between Mark Twain and Albert Schweitzer. But it was a wig. And Dick Donner looked at me. He said, "No, Glenn, please, no." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "I bet I know what you're going to say." He said, "Yeah, you look like Glenn Ford with a wig on."
We could say he's the child of my cousin in North Dakota.
As young Clark grows up, he too becomes aware of his supernatural powers. He uses his powers sparingly and wisely. But if pressed, why bother to take...
Fill it out.
In a piece of nostalgic casting, Lois's parents are played by Kirk Allen and Noel Neill. These two actors played the first Superman and Lois Lane in the original 1937 version of Superman.
Truthfully, Jeffrey, did you know that?
That'll serve you proper.
True.
They can see they don't believe you.
I know.
With the cliffhanger.
Yeah. Well, my favorite still was the Hoppies, with Hoppies in the canyon, and the Indians are on one side, and the heavies are on the other. The dam has been burst, and the arrows are coming down, and the water's coming down on him, and he's trapped in the middle. And he came back next week, and he was riding along the thing. And it just started with, after Hoppy got out of the canyon.
That's great.
In the radio show, whenever he changed from Clark Kent to Superman, they changed the voice. You see, they barrel the voice now. In radio, you can do that because they put something up here. There's a no, you know. They do it a little bit. They use little tricks. Well, we couldn't do that in the pictures. And besides, I didn't have to say up, up, and away. It was ridiculous. People could see that I'm taking off, you see, so there's no point in saying it. And likewise, there are a few phrases that he used in radio. This looks like a job for Superman. Well, now you don't have to say that, because you can indicate when you're going to change from Clark Kent to Superman by just looking around a little bit, you know, and ducking behind. Now everybody knows you're going to change.
So that Jimmy Olsen and myself, about all we ended up doing, you know, was being tied up, bound and gagged and waiting for the fuse to ignite and blow us to kingdom come. But in the television series, we had a lot more dialogue, and I think you had more chance to, you know, explore the character and do more with it.
Love what you see, love what you see.
Ready, Miss Tesmacher?
Have you ever tried running in high heels? He probably has.
On another location in Canada, we find the incompetent Miss Teschmacher trying to help Superman's archenemy, Lex Luthor, hijack a nuclear missile. She's played by Valerie Perrine.
I've never done anything this outrageously comical before. Well, look. I mean, you know, the bracelets, the wig.
Ned Beatty is Luthor's other less than competent henchperson, Otis. Not the most cunning of missile hijackers either.
Got it. All right. Okay. I thought it may have worked, but all right.
Camera reloading. I'm one step above a moron. I have terribly good intentions, but I'm an awfully bad guy.
Wait a minute, makeup for the lips. Lipstick! Now, I want it to go across the mouth like this. Okay.
Larry Hagman is enlisted in the U.S. Army to practice mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Down to here. Right. So here, down to here. Okay. Now plant it on this side, right? Now wait a minute. How do you do it? How's that? Is that okay? Does it match from yesterday? Huh? Was that nice?
Well, I suggest vigorous chest massage. If that doesn't work, mouth to mouth.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant, I wouldn't let a man of mine do anything I wouldn't be prepared to do.
But, sir.
All right, get on the radio. Get an ambulance. I'm not going to let this hold the convoy up any more than I have to.
Miss Teschmacher bravely tries to stop the missile convoy by pretending to be the victim of a road accident.
All right. Now, out goes the bad air, in goes the good air.
If you two want to bicker, that's just fine.
Back in Pinewood Studios, the newsroom of the Daily Planet contains all the old familiar faces and some young familiar ones, like Mark McClure playing photographer Jimmy Olsen.
It's a pretty clean day today. The Empire State Building, the Daily Planet's got a good view of that. And it's all buildings is all you can see. Superman, we've seen him, buzz by here a couple times, Somebody being mugged right now down there. Can you get a shot of it? But over here, Clark Kent. This is Clark Kent's desk, but nobody knows he's Superman. So, and Clark here, and then the chief, his office is right in there. It's got all the pane glasses. Jimmy Olsen doesn't even have a desk. Photos by James Olsen, Lex Luthor. That guy, what a, look at that. You see what it says? Lex Luthor was jailed yesterday for life plus 25 years. That's tough. That's tough. So he's gone for a while, I guess. Before Clark Kent came in the action, Jimmy was trying to scheme on Lois, but, financially he couldn't handle it. So he quit. And then Clark came in and took over. Ever since that, wrote me right out of the script. No, it's a good part.
Olsen works under the knowing eyes of an actor who was an international star at the age of 5, Jackie Cooper.
Perry White is the editor of the Daily Planet, the news editor. And I think this kind of a headline is typical of Perry. Very dramatic, very large type. A story especially like this, while it's terribly, terribly unusual to the city of Metropolis, if he could find any kind of a story, he'd love to give it this kind of dramatic headline, all the big print and the large pictures.
Lois Lane is played by Margot Kidder. She grew up in a little town called Yellowknife near the Arctic Circle. Although she may be more at home on the range than in the big city, when it comes to playing Lois Lane, she was determined to give it a very personal interpretation.
My Lois Lane came, I suppose, physically from New York, emotionally, which is the way I tend to go about it, and in terms of the different parts that make up her brain and her psyche, I guess she came from me because I had nothing else to go on. The ambition, the manic drive, all that stuff was just parts of me that I put in. I mean, I think that every person, particularly actors, are made up of about 80 to 100 parts, and it's simply a matter when you take a role of choosing which parts of yourself could be usefully applied. I guess she loves he's, of course, the catch of the year, the biggest trout in the pond. I mean, the wonderful, perfect human being.
Is it true that you can see through anything?
That's the stuff. Yes, I can pretty much see. I feel I'm leaving her hung up there.
No, you're not.
Just drift
I'm on
over.
her face. But
Okay.
she's stealing the scene from you there.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Here we go.
I gotta have a little dry. And there was one key scene for the whole part for me was the balcony scene with Lois. What I call the balcony scene. It's when he flies in and talks to her on the balcony, sort of about who he is.
Is it true that that you can see through anything?
Yes, I can, pretty much.
And that you are totally impervious to pain?
Well, so far.
What color underwear am I wearing?
Hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, I embarrassed you, didn't I?
Oh, no, not at all, Miss Lane. It's just that this planet must be made of lead.
Yes, so?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should explain. I sort of have a problem seeing through lead.
Oh, that's very interesting. Do you have a first name or anything?
What do you mean, like Ralph or something?
No, I mean like,
Pink.
Huh?
Pink. We changed the whole sort of tone of that scene because I felt that it must be, that the time had come when Superman would be open enough to say that he's there because he really likes her.
K-R-Y. Do you like pink?
I like Pink very much, Lois.
How fast do you fly, by the way?
Why don't we find out together?
And how do you propose we do that?
6, take 1.
And continue. This is California, the richest, most populous state in the Union.
I don't need a geography lesson from you, Luthor.
Deep down under Grand Central Station, Superman learns Luthor's master plan to activate the San Andreas Fault with the hijacked missile.
All right. The San Andreas Fault, maybe you've heard of it.
Yes, it's the joining together of two land masses. The fault line is unstable and shifting, which is why you get earthquakes in California from time to time.
Wonderful. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, everything west of this line here is the richest, most expensive real estate in the world. San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Everything on this side of the line is just hundreds and hundreds of miles of worthless desert land, which just still happens to be brothers, but all right, there we go.
Does it really?
Yeah. When I first heard about the project, I was, everyone says, yeah, well, big snooze job. But then when the role was offered to me and the script was sent to me, the character was totally different than I had pictured it in terms of I saw there was a great deal of latitude there, that I could maybe have some fun with it. That there was some. It was written well enough so that there would be some comedic value. Well, you can see by looking at this suit that I have on. This is not my real clothes. I hope you understand. But it's a certain style, a kind of a panache that the character has. That optimum stress point. It's fun to play. I think he is that kind of character where he has. Great contradictions.
You're a dreamer, Lex Luthor. A sick, demented dreamer. Your plan could...
Gene Hackman has considerable respect not only for the way Reeve is tackling his dual role, but his decision to risk being typecast as Superman.
Which, by the way, happens to be target 0, which is right there. I think he's very good, and I think it's a wonderfully brave thing for him to do, to take on a role that has traditionally, this kind of role has been difficult to overcome in terms of one's career. I think he has the capability as an actor to certainly survive the film. Whether it's successful or not, it's not important. I'm talking in terms of being typed. I think he certainly has the capability of coming out of the film in great shape. If someone had come to me and said, "You think that this guy should take this role?" I probably would have said no. I don't think he should have. But after getting into the film and seeing the kind of the production value and the kind of care that's going into the film, then I think I'd have to change my mind.
Do you really think you could hide it from me by encasing it in lead? I'll mold this box into your prison bars.
Don't touch that, please. I told you not to touch it. Oh, That's kryptonite, Superman. A little souvenir from the old hometown. I've spared no expense to make you feel right at home.
He's a lot of what America once was a long time ago. I'm a very liberal human being in my philosophies and my politics, and I find myself, in an odd sort of way, looking and respecting the conservative attitude of what Superman stands for now. Because I think I see a lot of my philosophies in application now, and I'm not very happy with them, and I almost wish I could go back to what once was, and what America once was.
The chain is just like, remember there's a wire on your neck.
Yeah.
And don't touch those wires together, you'll be short-circuited and you go up in flames.
Mind over muscle.
You don't even care where the other missile's headed, do you?
On the contrary, I know exactly where it's headed. Hackensack, New Jersey. I'm gonna leave you now. No hard feelings. We all have a little faults. Mine's in California.
You know, we'd always worried during the production whether we'd succeeded in bringing Superman to life. Because making people believe that a man could fly wasn't really the hardest part of making the film. I mean, we all know that Superman can leap over tall buildings, but the question is, could he leap over the generation gap since those early Siegel and Schuster days? We wanted to know if a man from the innocent...